Right now, we want to take you to Columbia for a live update from state officials and Governor Henry McMaster.
1,000 service members responding to Helene, and we are continuing to build. Our engineer teams are fully engaged in the impacted areas, conducting debris clearance operations and chainsaw operations. We also have augmented our forces with additional forces from the Florida National Guard who are currently on the ground. Additionally, engineer elements from National Guards from Mississippi, from New York, from Michigan are also coming to the fight to assist us in responding to the storm. I want to take a minute to thank those states for assisting us in the response. Florida, Mississippi, New York, and Michigan, we appreciate them being here by our side in our time of need. We also have general purpose troops arrayed through the impacted areas. They're conducting missions for the distribution of aid. They're doing limited traffic control. They're also just generally assisting those county emergency management teams who are weary from having been on duty for a week responding to this event. We also have aviation assets, including helicopter rescue teams, assisting residents in both South Carolina and North Carolina. So, ladies and gentlemen, the South Carolina National Guard is on the ground in our communities, supporting our neighbors and our families, and we'll be here until we get past this. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Secretary Justin Powell, Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Governor. SCDOT has continuous operations in response to Hurricane Helene as we work to restore mobility to the upstate. Our crews continue to work to clear roadways from this storm's large debris fields. At present, we have 319 routes closed across the state. This is down from the 456 routes announced at the last briefing on Tuesday. Power line entanglements remain the single largest obstacle to reopening roadways. To combat that, we've been working very closely with our utility partners to expedite our shared mission in getting South Carolina back to normal. At the utilities' request, we have embedded 11 DOT crews with line crews to help remove tree debris as they work to repair lines. As the cut and toss and utility restoration operations wrap up, we will begin removing debris on the roadway with our crews and have already done so in several less affected counties. We've also activated debris contractors to work on removing debris in the 16 most affected counties of the storm. Begin late next week, you'll start seeing operations move out with a focus on our interstates and our primary routes, and then moving on to our secondary routes in the coming weeks. We know this has been an incredibly challenging and difficult time for many in this state. We are in this together, and we won't stop until the job is done in getting South Carolina back moving again. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Secretary Powell. Brett Howard, FEMA.
Yes, sir. Hey, good afternoon. I'm Brett Howard, Federal Coordinating Officer. Before I get started on mine, I'd like to introduce Mr. Willie Nunn. He is the senior federal FEMA official for this event. He will be here with me to assist with the state's response and recovery efforts on behalf of the administrator in our agency. So we welcome Willie to South Carolina, and him and the governor have had several conversations, and I think we're moving into a good place there. We continue working side by side with this incredible team. You've heard me say it. You've heard me brag on the governor's staff and the ones that are standing behind me and the local EMs. It is an incredible opportunity to partner with such a great and support such a great staff and a great team here. And meet the needs of the survivors and make sure that they have everything they need to do just that. As you've heard from the governor and you've heard from Director Stinson that we were able to approve and add on 3 counties last night. That goes to the hard work here. I have staff on the ground making sure that as the state gets in that information they are so desperately need of to add on counties, we were able to process those and turn them around last night. That's an incredible an incredible feat and opportunity to get that done. So we stand ready as the state receives additional counties for add-on. We stand ready to process those and anticipate hopefully the same amount on the turnaround of those. And as these counties get added on, I can't stress enough that for the survivors out there, please call the 1-800-621-3362 number and to register or go to the website at disasterassistance.gov. That is the fastest and easiest way. You don't have a call bank, you're not waiting on somebody to answer the phone, or you can use our app, the FEMA app on Android or iPhones. This assistance goes right to homeowners to help them with, and renters for serious needs, basic home repair, rental of temporary housing and things like that. So it's very important you call to help jumpstart your recovery. We have disaster survivor assistance teams that are on the ground today. They're in the shelters. They will be out in the communities very soon and be going door to door where it's safe to do so, working with the state to make sure that we target those areas as the state and the locals see the need, to make sure these teams are out there interacting with the survivors to help them get registered or meet anything that they need from us. Currently, we have over 108,000 already registered for federal assistance and approved more than $4.4 million already, and this is in the initial few days of the activation, or the declaration, I apologize. The American Red Cross is currently engaged in targeted distribution of emergency supplies to a lot of them to low-income communities and those that can't get out and get food and supplies. We stand ready to continue to support the mass feeding needs for South Carolina and anything else as the governor stated. The president, the administrator has promised him all assistance possible, and that's what we're here to do, Governor, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here to serve you and your citizens. Thank you.
Mr. Nunn?
Thank you, Governor. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm here on behalf of the FEMA Administrator, Ms. Deanne Criswell, as her eyes and ears to support the federal coordinating officer, to support the governor, working through the county EM and getting down to the county, the locals, to make sure that we leave nobody behind in this disaster. And we'll get out there and get the word out. My final thing would be that 1-800-621-3362, 1-800-621-FEMA, to call to register for individual assistance. And that's where it starts. And then we'll get people out on the ground as soon as possible to do that in-person help as well. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Director Robert Woods, Department of Public Safety.
Thank you, Governor. Robert Woods, Director of the South Carolina Department of Public Safety. Currently, SCTPS has 211 Highway Patrol troopers and state transport police officers working statewide. 111 of those are working in our upstate troops 2, 3, and 4, as well as in Aiken. 38 of those personnel are assigned to SLED missions, security and law enforcement missions. Tonight, we'll have 113 of our law enforcement personnel working statewide, and 51 of those in the impacted area. I do want to make a particular point of emphasis regarding highway safety. Highway safety is always a partnership between law enforcement and the motoring public, especially in a disaster. I would just ask again that all motorists remain particularly cautious and attentive to the hazards that are out there, either debris in the roadway, or on the roadside. Look out for utility workers, DOT workers, and law enforcement, other emergency personnel that are working along the roadside. Please be particularly attentive to that. As the governor's already mentioned, one of the hazards that persists are these traffic signals that are that are currently not working. Please look out for those, especially when you're getting into the nighttime hours. All hazards during the nighttime hours, but when you're approaching an intersection that would normally be controlled by a light, by a traffic light, and it's not, treat that like a four-way stop. Come to a complete stop just like you come to a stop sign, and then yield to the traffic on the right before you proceed. If you have questions as to what that looks like, refer to the DPS Facebook page. There's static diagrams as well as an animated video that'll help you understand what that looks like. Governor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Chief Ben Duncan, Officer of Resilience.
Thank you, Governor. Ben Duncan, Chief Resilience Officer, South Carolina Office of Resilience. It is our responsibility to lessen the impact of disasters on our citizens, our economy, and our natural resources. We do that through many ways: home repair and replacement. We do it through infrastructure projects, stormwater infrastructure projects, and matching grants to cities and counties that don't have the funds they need. We also do that working with nonprofit organizations. One, SC is the organization that we're working with now. They have a long history of working with this office and with the state of South Carolina on disasters. They work with Hurricane Matthew, Hurricane Joaquin, and Hurricane Florence. They assisted more than 2,000 citizens in their home repairs and other needs that they may have. And today we have Ms. Erin Johnson with us, who is going to, from 1SC, who is going to come speak to you for a second.
Ms. Johnson?
Thank you for having me. Again, I'm Erin Johnson from Central Carolina Community Foundation. We house the state's philanthropic disaster relief fund, the 1SC fund. As Mr. Duncan mentioned, the fund began in 2015 and has since responded 4 different times to disasters that have hit our state, helping return people to safe, secure, and sanitary housing. We reactivated the fund again this weekend and have since received commitments of over $1 million already from very generous corporations and individuals from around our state and our region, and we have a lot of work to do. We will be making grants to nonprofits who are responding within counties to be able to help our most vulnerable citizens and residents within our state. We will get grants out as soon as possible. Our goal is already next week to get out emergency response grants to our nonprofits who are on the ground, and then we'll begin making grants to nonprofits through an application process after that. So we're ready to get to work, and we really appreciate the governor and his staff for their support.
Thank you, ma'am. Chief Mark Keel, SLED.
Mark Keel, SLED Chief. ESF 13, SLED, DNR, Triple P, SCDC, and Department of Public Safety have 180 personnel supporting local sheriffs and chiefs around the state with security-related missions in 17 counties and 3 cities. Those 17 counties are Aiken, Allendale, Anderson, Bamberg, Barnwell, Cherokee, Edgefield, Greenville, Greenwood, Hampton, Lawrence, Lexington, McCormick, Newberry, Oconee, Pickens, and Spartanburg, and the cities of North Augusta, the city of Union, and the city of Packlet. SLED's regional captains and myself have been in contact with our sheriffs this morning and are assessing their current anticipated needs for assistance. As sheriffs and chiefs release resources from their jurisdictions, we will either reallocate those or demobilize those personnel for other assignments. This morning, we increased the number of law enforcement personnel assisting the Edgefield County Sheriff's Office with providing a heightened law enforcement presence for line crews working in the area. ESF 13, which is law enforcement, and ESF 12, the Office of Regulatory Staff, are staying in constant communication regarding security for our line crews in those impacted areas. SLED's aviation unit will be conducting damage assessment. We're in Pickens again today. We're continuing to provide security at Bon Secours Arena, food and supply distribution locations. The City of Union will be releasing those personnel from Conway PD tomorrow, and ESF 13 is continuing to receive and staff requests for additional security missions as requested. Completes my report.
Thanks, Chief. Commissioner Hugh Wells, Department of Agriculture.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. At these reports, you'll normally hear a lot of data heavy reports. We don't have that for agriculture as we are still assessing, but I will give you what we know. The parts of the state hit by Helene are mainly livestock, trees, forage, poultry. We've had some damage to cotton and pecans as well, pecans in the low country. There also reports of some produce losses for our fall produce crops. We'll give you one example. One of our state's largest pecan growers in Edgefield County will have a total crop loss, and 70% of their mature orchards are on the ground. Infrastructure is taking a big hit on our farms. Infrastructures for agriculture might be fencing, drainage, storage structure, or production facilities. Power outages are now having an impact, and they are straining poultry and livestock operations, dairy farm, feed mills, food manufacturers, and they're all running on backup generators. We're working through our ESFs here at EMD to manage the potential impacts. We'll give you some poultry losses that we know, and they come from generator failure, just over 300,000 poultry, chicken losses from almost 100 poultry farms that are operating on backup generators. We'll point out that agriculture is a team, as Clemson Extension agents, as well as our own staff members are out in the field helping farmers assess damages. We've attempted to contact our food manufacturers, feed manufacturers, retail food establishments, dairies, produce farms that our agency is involved in regulatory status. We want to reiterate to them it's important to communicate to us their current condition so that we can pass along that information ahead of further issues. You may have seen some empty food shelves on the stores, grocery stores. We're not concerned at this point in time about a widespread food supply impact. There are local impacts that we're working with as the food supply chain works to get over this. In the coming days and weeks, we will work with FEMA and others to make sure our farmers are aware of the coming resources from federal and their state partners. I will point out that farmers and their employees, just like all of us, are residents. So again, we need to make sure that they're aware of the resources available to them for their homes. Point out that between the summer drought, Tropical Storm Debbie, and now Helene, every part of the state's agriculture has been impacted in 2024. I'll close by saying, as we've seen through so many crises, farmers are resilient. Sometimes resilience has a negative consequences, and it is difficult to get farmers out of the repair mode and get into the resource request mode. So that completes my report, Governor.
Thank you. Director Emily Farr.
Thank you, sir. Emily Farr, Director of the Department of Labor, Licensing and Regulation. As the state is moving from response to recovery, the State Fire Division continues to staff the state's firefighting and search and rescue efforts, supporting resource requests with urban search and rescue teams and fire department resources through firefighter mobilization. We still have over 150 personnel assigned to missions to support the county's response. Moving into recovery, the labor and licensing divisions of the agency stand ready to support the public as we work to recover from the storm. For property repair, something to keep in mind is to make sure that as you start to look to rebuild and repair your home, take photos before you start the repairs to be able to use for insurance and other reimbursement purposes. Make sure that you hire licensed and insured contractors. Ensure they're state licensed and bonded. You can check those licenses using LLR's licensee lookup at www.llr.sc.gov to verify a contractor's license. If you're not sure if a job requires a license, you can also contact the agency by calling 803-896-4696. Also, our South Carolina OSHA team, our Occupational Safety and Health Administration teams are on the ground providing free safety supplies and advice on safe work practices to help minimize risk during recovery efforts. They are out there providing personal protective equipment such as safety glasses, gloves, dust masks. They'll be providing information also on education and necessary protective equipment to the general public that may be trying to clean up, as well as employees, employers, and rescue responders. So you will likely see them throughout the area providing that response. And just a note as well, we've mentioned a couple of times, please keep in mind that very important generator and candle safety, continuing to urge citizens to make sure those generators are not run inside the home or in an attached garage. Keep them at least 20 feet away from windows, doors, etc. to the home. All of this and many other messages are available on the agency's website at llr.sc.gov/emergency. Many other messages there. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Director Mike Leach, Department of Social Services.
Thank you, Governor. Mike Leach, Department of Social Services. As of 12/15 today, South Carolina currently has 18 total shelters open. 11 of those are general population shelters, and 7 are medical needs shelters. And we have 5 shelters on standby across the state. We're currently serving 248 individuals in the general population shelters, and there are 47 individuals in the medical needs shelters. And we continue to work with Department of Public Health on these operations. We do have over 300 DSS personnel who have worked in these shelters since the beginning. 69 of them have done multiple shifts in this work. So I thank them for their kindness and compassion when working with the citizens over the last week. The Salvation Army is currently producing and distributing food for Aiken and Saluda counties. Operation Barbecue is currently in 1 location in Greenville and 3 locations in Lawrence County. Currently, our partners with the Red Cross are working to distribute FEMA shelf-stable meals for fixed and mobile sites in the following areas, and we thank FEMA for that: Abbeville, Aiken, Edgefield, Greenwood, McCormick, and Saluda. And Red Cross has also set up their feeding operations to produce and distribute food in the following areas: Abbeville, Anderson, Oconee, Pickens, and 4 sites in Saluda. So we have stuff going on, and more is coming as well. And Southern Baptist Disaster Relief has mobilized their feeding teams in Aiken, Cherokee, Edgefield, and Spartanburg. Thank you, Governor.
Thanks, Dr. Ed Simmer, Department of Public Health.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Ed Simmers, Interim Director, South Carolina Department of Public Health. We continue to monitor the healthcare facilities in our state. All of our hospitals continue to be fully open and operating. We do have a number of nursing homes and assisted living facilities that are still on generator power, although that number decreases every day. We're visiting them regularly, making sure all of the residents in those facilities are fine, and they are. They have food, they have fuel for the generators, and we're also working with ORS and our utilities to make sure we get as many of those back on power as quickly as possible. As was mentioned by Director Leach, our medical needs shelters continue to serve people. Those are still available. If you have medical equipment that needs an electric supply and your power is out, please call us at 1-855-472-3432. We will assess your needs and help you find the right facility to meet the needs that you have. We also have oxygen canisters available, because we know a lot of people use medical oxygen and are having trouble getting that. We have already distributed more than 900 oxygen canisters and have more on the way. If you need an oxygen canister, please visit our website at dph.sc.gov, and you'll see a list of counties there, because these are being distributed through the counties, and a phone number to call for each of the counties that has oxygen, so that you can obtain the oxygen that you need. Also, if you use the WIC benefit, the Women, Infants, and Children Nutritional benefit, and let's say your food was destroyed because of the refrigerator was not having power, or you need benefit, please contact your local health department. Even if the building is closed, our folks are working remotely, and we will work with you to get the benefits you need. And lastly, as we start to look down towards recovery, as been mentioned, we're also thinking about how do we get all of our medical practices, our pharmacies back online, get access to care back to where it was before the storm. We are working very closely, because a big part of that is making sure we have the medical supplies that we need. Obviously, we're working with EMS and hospitals. They're using a lot of medical supplies right now as part of the response, as people need help, as people are injured. Also, many of our medical practices and pharmacies have been without power in the impacted areas. And when you're without power, a lot of those medical supplies and medications are damaged by the heat and have to be replaced. We have 2 issues there. One is a large manufacturer of IV fluids in North Carolina was heavily damaged in the storm. So we are working to make sure that our state has the IV fluids it needs for our EMS providers and hospitals and others. And also, we're very concerned because many of the medical supplies do come through our ports. With the ports closed due to the strike, we are working to get as many supplies in as we can, but certainly, Governor, the sooner our ports reopen, the faster we'll be able to get our medical care system in the state fully up and running again. And that's my report.
One question, you
Yes,
gave
sir.
a phone number.
Yes, sir.
Could you repeat that?
Absolutely. The number for medical needs shelters, and this will also give you other information. So, for example, if you have questions about the WIC program, that's 1-855-472-3432. Thank you, Governor.
Thanks, sir. Myra Reese, Department of Environmental Services.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. Myra Reese, Department of Environmental Services. A few updates this afternoon. We're continuing to perform our post-storm dam assessments as the roads are being cleared and access to some of the more severely impacted properties are. As of this morning, we've assessed the condition of 234 dams. 108 were performed by our staff, and 126 were self-reports from the dam owners. And although we still are not aware of any significant issues with our state-regulated dams, we are noting some will need minor repairs, and we will be expediting those approvals and need for fallen trees to be removed from the dams, and we will be even more resilient in the future. As far as drinking water, we remain in close contact with our drinking water systems in the heavily impacted areas so that we can monitor their status and to check on fuel supply status for those on generator power. Our goal is to minimize risk to the public related to the distribution of public water. From a debris management perspective, that's probably one of the most biggest focus areas for us right now. We're continuing to work very closely with our state partners, local entities about debris management sites and the need for that and the need to identify some alternative sites. So I just want to point out that these debris management sites are there for the counties to stage debris and come up with some innovative different ways of getting that debris to where it finally needs to end up. When it comes to you as individuals and community members, as you clean up your properties, just a reminder that you should contact your local or county government to obtain information specifically about what you should do. And in closing, I just want to again thank all of our local emergency management officials, so many of our state partners who are helping out the owners of private wells across the state. And I will mention this number again as power is restored and you have any questions about your well, please call this number 1-888-761-5989. That's 1-888-761-5989. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And finally, Marcia Adams.
Good afternoon, Marcia Adams, Department of Administration. I just want to say thank you to all the offers of assistance from citizens across the state. We have many charitable organizations such as food pantries, faith-based organizations, and other nonprofits on the ground in the local areas providing the exact goods and services to meet the needs of those folks. You can find a list of those charitable organizations on secemd.org/recovery/volunteer and donate. And included is the One SC Fund in that and a little bit about that fund that you just heard about previously. We have had lots of calls from groups conducting food drives for disaster relief. We ask that they contact their local food bank and get a list of the most needed items and then coordinate with those food banks because they will deliver that food to the people who need it. And finally, we have lots of folks who want to volunteer. We ask that you register at volunteersc.org. There's also a link to that on the EMD website. Many of the volunteering opportunities do require some specialized training. We want to make sure everyone is safe. Please don't self-deploy. I promise you will be called as those volunteer opportunities arise. Thank you.
What does self-deploy mean?
Go out and start volunteering by yourself without being in an organization.
Okay, and also the website was what?
The website is scemd.org /recovery volunteer and donate, and from there you'll have a link to the volunteersc.org.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Question for Brett.
Sorry. Might as well come on in. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned financial assistance through FEMA for homeowners or renters. Is that for people with or without insurance? Or without insurance? Is it just for people without insurance, or is it open to everyone else?
It's for, I encourage everyone to register, even if you have insurance, because there may be some gaps in your coverage, things that insurance doesn't cover. We can't duplicate funds. We can't duplicate what an insurance company does with federal funds. But if there's a gap in there, we can help meet and fill that gap.
Like a deductible? If someone has a deductible on their coverage?
I can't give you a definite answer, but they just need to call and let's work through the process to see what that looks like, okay?
You also mentioned on Tuesday that this is a marathon.
It is.
I know it would be hard to put an actual date on when things will get back to normal, but what's the reasonable expectation when life may be back to normal, especially in the upstate?
That is I can't give you a date on that. What we're going to work with the state, and this is probably some of the governor's response also to answer that question. There's going to be a new normal in the upstate area, because there's some things that we're going to replace and we're going to fix, and we're going to assist the governor in building back better, right? We're going to have the opportunities to do some things and build back better, but it's not ever going to be like it was. So there's going to be a new normal, and we're going to strive to get there as fast as we can and make it even better than it was. That's our goal here, is to recover. But it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next week. It's a marathon. It's going to be down the road a little bit. But we're here taking every step, every day, getting a little bit closer to that. Thank you.
Further questions?
I know medical supplies were listed, kind of talking about the port strike and everything like that. Governor, yesterday you and Senator Graham kind of implored the president to do more to try and end the port strike. It doesn't appear that that's happened yet. Do you have any comment on that and the ongoing strike?
No, but the Taft-Hartley Act provides that if a strike endangers the health or security of the nation, that it can be enjoined by the president. So this strike has just begun, and it's the entire Atlantic and Gulf Coast, all the ports. As you've heard today and before, it has medical implications, but has implications all over our state. Someone estimated officially one time that 1 out of 10 people in the state have a job, an occupation, or a career that depends on an operating port. And the estimate of the commerce, the value of the commerce is created is enormous. There's one estimate that each day costs the state about $200 million. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's been stated. But we'd like for it to end right now, because we're already dealing with a natural disaster, and we don't need a man-made disaster at this point. Mr. Kinney.
Governor DeSantis today said he's sending Florida National Guardsmen and Florida State Guard to ports in Florida to try to get things moving as best he can. Is that something you would consider if this strike is prolonged? We'll
consider most anything to get it started again. Our port is a little different from the one in Florida because of the ownership of the machinery, the ownership of the property. But the Taft-Hartley Act is the best answer, and that should be done right away, because of the situation that the entire our state, parts of Tennessee, of course, North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, we're in trouble. And a strike, the longer it goes, the damages go deeper and deeper.
Governor, we're seeing some reports on social media of folks panic buying things like toilet paper, which doesn't even come internationally, but nonetheless they're doing that. For folks that maybe hearing just bits and pieces of the news. What would you have to say to citizens to kind of, ease their fears and encourage them not to panic by certain items?
I would say we've estimated that, first of all, get all your information from official sources. Please don't listen to what they say on social media, because there's always, not always, but usually either anywhere from 1% to 100% wrong. And it's inflammatory, and it gets going around. They say that a liar can run all the way around the world before the truth gets his shoes tied up. So that is just a natural thing. We got enough disasters without scaring people. But the power companies have estimated that the vast majority of power will be back on by sometime tomorrow, if I remember. There'll be some areas that are very hard to get to. It'll take longer, but they're saying the vast majority, and these figures so far are holding that out. We went from, where did we go to? We started 1.3 on last Friday, and as of today, earlier today, we were at 388,000. So we've gone from 1.3 million to 388,000, and as you've heard, more and more people are coming in from all over the country to help. We got everybody on the field, and we've been through these things before. We're very well coordinated. We communicate, collaborate, cooperate, and that's why we're making such progress.
Governor, yesterday Secretary Mayorkas said FEMA does not have enough funding currently to get through the rest of hurricane season. Do you have any concerns about South Carolina's needs being met for both this storm and any future storms later this season?
We want to get through this one, and we've been promised by every official who's in a position in the federal government to promise it, that we're going to have whatever we need. Now, you can't replace broken trees, 150-year-old trees. You can't replace these orchards and pecan groves. You see the pictures of those that make you want to cry. We can't replace these people who have died as a result of this, 41 so far. But we're trying to prevent further deaths. There's no reason for anybody else to die as a result of this storm now, if we're very careful and we work together. But the federal government has a way of finding money. Even if they don't have it, they'll go borrow it from somewhere. But if we just get through this one, hurricane season will be over for long, and we'll be just fine.
Aside from the federal money, it's beginning to look like this may be the costliest storm in the state's history. Some of our smaller counties have certainly been very hard hit. Can you envision maybe that you and through the General Assembly might have to be doing some direct aid to local governments after this?
Maybe, but also we want to try to create some new sources for aid, particularly for the farmers, for food sources, because there's just a patchwork of things here and there. They're not really a part of FEMA, which moves pretty quickly. It moves at government pace, but it does move quickly compared to this patchwork. But we have to do something about that, and we've been speaking with, yesterday, for example, Congressman Timmons and Jeff Duncan, Congressman Duncan, and Senator Graham, as well as the President, about having appropriations, FEMA style, for the farmers. Because without food, without something to eat, we're all in trouble. And we have a great farming community here. We have our agribusiness is enormous. It's the biggest part of our state. It's bigger than manufacturing, bigger than tourism, and we have to take care of it.
For our regulatory folks, are there any laws regarding generators? I know a lot of grocery stores lost power, had to throw away a lot of foods, a lot of meats. Are there any rules or regulations surrounding generators and backup power for any of those retailers?
You mean requirements? Do you know something?
I don't actually. I'm not aware of a state regulation regarding it. It's really the safety message of the fact that when you do purchase the generator, what you do with it within your business or your personal home or anything like that. So.
But and I know in Florida they have a building ordinance for, I don't know what all buildings it covers, but I know it's filling stations, those kind of things, they have to have a generator for situations like this. Of course, they have hurricanes more than we do. But this ought to be a good incentive for the free market to understand the benefit that it would be on sales and business to be able to say that your station does not close down in storms. So I think the free market is going to add a lot to that.
Questions, if there are any?
Yes, sir.
I will note that within our healthcare regulations, hospitals, nursing homes are required to have generator and test them regularly as part of their emergency plan.
Anybody else got something?
I can add to that. And from an environmental perspective, it's just very large generators that we test for air quality emissions, but nothing to the extent of the generators that are being used for these response efforts.
Governor?
Yes, sir.
Have there been any more conversations on what the state might do to incentivize getting those power lines buried for future storms?
Well, we discussed that yesterday when Senator Graham particularly had brought the issue up before and discussed that with the President yesterday. That would be a good federal project, but they're expensive. But we wouldn't have some of the problems we have now if we had more in certain places, and of course that would save us a lot of these expenses. But there are a lot of discussions. Every time we have something like this, we learn things that we can do a little bit better.
Governor, you tabletop these coastal storms. Do you need to maybe start tabletopping and simulating storms that come from the Gulf? Maybe change things up a little bit?
We might start simulating those that come from the moon if this keeps happening. We always contemplate that. Of course, Hurricane Hugo went way through Columbia, went through Charlotte, knocked down all the big trees in Charlotte. The place looked like a war zone up there. But this just reminds us of how unpredictable they are, and we never do. The experts, and they have different groups. One of them is at the University of Colorado, I think, and this is all they do is predict hurricanes, and nobody ever gets it right. Sometimes they say they're coming at us and they go somewhere else, and that's good. Sometimes they say they're not coming at us and they do come at us. So we learn something every time, but we know one thing we know is nature's not going to go away, and the better prepared we are, the better we can get all our people alert and aware of the danger, and then the better we can respond, which I think our team has been remarked by others is extraordinary in the way that we respond, the way we prepare, the way we respond, the way we work together in the job that we do.
Any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much.